This is the ultimate Nightblade healer. This is a build that I've been experimenting with for a little bit, and I was trying to find the best gear and the best way to possibly make a healer that can actually DPS too. And this is finally the build. So I'm just going to show you the gear and I'm going to show you the stats that I'm running on this. So let's start with the stats. I'm running 31 into health and 33 into magicka. The reason why I did this was because I wanted to have more health. I was trying to avoid the whole getting one shot thing, even though it does happen sometimes, especially if you land up accidentally standing in a red circle. Of course you're going to get one shotted, but in this case at least this actually lets you survive. So I tried to even out the stats as much as possible. So I put 20,000 into health. That's what I have so far with that 31 health. I tried to measure it out to get it to that. And I'm also at 28,000 on max magicka. This might look low to you, but it actually is not even that bad. I'm still doing really good damage considering how low the magicka is. And it's all because of the buffs that Nightblade gives anyway. So they're actually buffing up your damage and doing pretty well. Because I did experiment with putting all the points in the magicka like you typically do with a magicka build, but it doesn't work because you're actually losing out on so much health when you do that. And the other thing that you're losing a lot out on is magic recovery, which magic recovery I have is 2,346. The reason why I have it that high is because I can be able to spam my abilities without pretty much ever doing a heavy attack. And like in dungeons, for example, when you're constantly fighting a boss, I would probably eventually get to the point where I have to at least do one heavy attack to get it to full, but just one compared to having to do like 20 or 30 of them in the middle of a boss battle because you run out of mana like this, like you're out of mana. So I really didn't like that whole thing. So that's why I left it that high, and that's why I'm running Witch Mother's Potent Brew. This is giving magicka recovery by 300 as well as maximum magicka and maximum health. So that's what gets me to these stats right here, which is the 20,000 and the 28. You can pick that up more if you use a food instead, but you'll be losing out on that max magicka, which would mean you'll have to do more heavy attacks. So I don't recommend doing that. But if that's what you prefer, is having more damage, then you can go ahead and slot that different. You can just pump all in the magicka and see what I mean. You're gonna land up out of magicka like all the time, unless you'll end up losing potions a lot. It's up to you if you want to use potions, but I don't use potions. Okay, so spell crit, I got that up to 48%. I'm not using any other abilities than Nightblade abilities for the most part because I didn't want to use any magicka, like Mages Guild abilities. I didn't want to do that again. I already did that on most of my other sorcerer type characters, so I wanted to avoid doing that. So that's why I have the setup that I have now. Which, let me just show you the gear first before I get into the whole powers thing. So let's see the gear that I'm running here. I'm running the Combat Physician set. This is such a beautiful set. This is the ultimate healer set for real, because the biggest thing about this is that it's increasing your crit a lot, so it's nice. So it gets me up to that threshold of almost 50%. And you're also, every time you crit a heal, you're giving somebody a shield. And that is, to me, is priceless, because every single time a heal is going off on somebody, they're getting a shield. You're getting a shield too. Everybody gets a shield. It's Oprah time. Everybody gets a shield. So it's freaking awesome. I love that set. And I'm also running Icehearts because I wanted more shields. So this one actually gives a shield to yourself. So you're increasing your spell crit on this, and you're also getting another damage shield, as well as an AoE attack that goes around you that lasts for the duration of that. Even if the shield is broken off, it's still the attack will still tick. So you're ticking off for at least 1,000, every second for 6 seconds. So that is amazing, and it procs all the time. Like I never see it not procking. So it's such a beautiful set. I love this too. This thing is amazing. It saved my life so many times, because whenever the Combat Physician set wore off and I'm still waiting on that 6 seconds for the shield to come back, this one procced off. And sometimes they'll proc off together and they'll give you like a massive, ridiculous shield. So I almost take no damage during dungeons unless you get one-shotted. I mean, if you get one-shotted, then I mean nothing's gonna save you from one shot. But for the most part, I'm never having any problems. And the same with the team; they're always having shields and stuff. I'm running a Imperial Wrath because I wanted to pick up the spell crit, so that's why I picked this one. The other one I was also considering was the one that gives the maximum to Magica by 4%. That might be another set that's something that you could choose, but I stick with this one because I wanted that extra little spell crit to get it up. And for my staffs, I'm still not. I haven't got a staffs that actually I prefer yet. But the ones that I'm running right now, every single one, I always put the weapon damage, spell damage buff on it because every time you hit them, or at least I'm not really sure how it procs, but I've seen the damage potential because I'll do a light attack and then I'll start doing other attacks and I see the damage go up. So this is increasing your spell crit by 320 every time you're doing a light attack, pretty much. I still have to see what the numbers are as far as like when it procs and all that. But I'm using Healing Done on the Retro Staff. That's my main weapon right here. I'm using Retro Staff. The reason why I picked this is because the heals not only are better, but you're also, every time you do a heavy attack, you're sucking a lot more mana back than you would from any other staff. So this is a beautiful thing to have, mainly because of that. The damage increase for using an Infernal Staff is not even that much. Like, it's probably 200 or 300 more points of damage. I feel like it's not even worth it to run like a Destruction Staff. But if you want to use a Destruction Staff, you can. So you have that option because since you're not using any Retro Staff abilities in your tray, you can have the option to do a Destruction Staff if you want to. So it's nice. On my other tray, I am using Infernal Staff, so I'm using a Fire Staff for that. And it's mainly because I'm also running Penetration on that with Sharpen. Sharpen is going to get nerfed in the next big patch, so I wouldn't really bother with Sharpen anymore. But that's what I'm using right now, at least until I get Maelstrom weapons. So let me just show you real quick what my skills are like. Actually, before the skills, champion points. Okay, so champion points, not much has changed versus other builds that I've done. The main thing always is Elfborn to 20%. I always put this up to 20% because this is major. Every time you crit, you're critting for way more. This also increases your heals too, so this is really, really good. I got this Elemental Expert. I got it up to 7% right now, but I want to go to 10 eventually, so I'm still leveling up my champion points to get to that. Master at Arms is a must, so I always put this up to 20%. This is increases your damage dramatically, at least from your initial attacks. Especially since I'm using the suck attack over and over, which I keep calling it suck attack, but it's actually has a name. So let me tell you what the name is: funnel health. So when you're spamming funnel health, the initial attack, you're actually doing way more. And since the healing on this, the damage is 29% of that damage turns into healing. That is good because the more damage you do with that attack, the more healing you're giving. So that's definitely a good thing to have more damage with that. Okay, so let me look at what else I got. So that was pretty much it. It was just that and this here, this to 10%. And I want to put spell penetration eventually if I have extra points available. But let's see. I got 75 points in the sneak, mainly because I wanted to make this a thief. I've always wanted to have a thief kind of character where I can just rob people and stuff. So I put this up to 75 just to get Treasure Hunter, and Treasure Hunter actually procs off of stealing from people because it will actually give green and blue items most of the time. Like, you rarely get whites, and then when you do get whites, you feel disrespected because it's like, yo, I put points in that shit, man. I wasted all these points. I should be getting greens. So it's pretty nice to have that. But you can do whatever you want with that. It all depends on how you want to build your character. This is a must. Magic recovery to 10%, and I also want to get tenacity to 10% also. So I'm gonna do that. And then on this line, Bastion is a must because, of course, all you're doing is giving shields all the time. So when you don't increase this up and it's at 0, you're actually giving only a 6,800-ish shield. I mean, yeah, 6,800-ish shield to people. versus right now I'm giving about 9,500-ish. So this is a must to have in this build, especially since everything you're doing gives you a shield. So it's good. Let's see what else I got. This is a 43, so that's 10% in Hardy, and I'm gonna go to 10% with Elemental Defender very soon. I'm close to that. And yeah, that's it with the champion points. Okay, so let me show you the powers now. Powers, this is on my Restro staff line. I'm running Sap Essence. Sap Essence is freaking awesome because not only is it a great AoE attack, you're buffing your damage by 20%, and you're healing the team. And it's like it's a multi-purpose power right here. This thing is just beautiful. So I love this thing. Refreshing Path, another one that's beautiful because this is an AoE that you placed on the ground. You're damaging the enemies, and you're also healing your allies and yourself. So this is constantly ticking off all the time, as well as spamming your AoE all the time. And then yeah, it's just constant heals. And then this one too, Funnel Health, another heal. So every time you pull from the enemy, you're sucking their health. You're giving them an initial big burst heal every single time you do that, and you're also giving this buff to every person on the team. Because what happens with this is that every time you pull, you're giving it to one other nearby ally. But if you keep pulling it, you're actually dividing it to the entire team. So everybody will get buffed by this because you're spamming this constantly. And this is going to be your main attack for the most part, is doing this between light attacks. So that is a beautiful, beautiful power. Love it. Okay, and I'm also using a Merciless Resolve. This is something that you can change out for whatever you want. I picked this because I wanted to have slightly more damage, because it's 8% more damage for using this. And also that Spectral Bow thing is actually pretty nice because it actually, I've seen it crit for 22,000, 23,000, so it's really good attack. So it's not bad to have in the tray for that too. This is your main heal right here, Energy Orb. Energy Orb is the shit. The biggest thing about this is that you can toss it before you go into a group, and then you can start doing your attack chain to actually get all your healing off. And the best part about this is that you don't have to use Restro Staff, and this will heal the entire team constantly. And it's ticking for 763 health every half a second. This is not every second, half a second. So this is epic. The healing is ridiculous. So it gets to the point where it's constantly critting all the time, and it's healing for at least 1500 every half a second. So it's just an amazing heal. And not to mention the part where if actually people synergize off of it, you're healing them, and they're also getting a magicka or stamina. On my second tray, this is entirely optional tray. I don't even swap to this tray for any reason, and it's mainly because I don't really care to swap weapons. I don't like swapping weapons. So if you want to change up to this tray to whatever the hell you want, you can. But the only thing I really use in this is Reaper's Mark. So the Reaper's Mark at least debuffs the mobs. That way they can have the DPS can do more damage, as well as you also get healed by it, and you get Major Berserk for 5 seconds. So that is a really nice buff. When you pop it off on like some minion, they get killed instantly, and you're doing a hell of a lot more damage once they die. So it's pretty nice to have this in the tray and just kind of use it. Sometimes I forget to use it, but it's actually really good. Everything else is just completely optional. I like Impale for finishing off mobs, like finishing off a boss, for example. When they're getting low on health, you spam the shit out of this and they'll die. So this is definitely a really nice power. Other than that, I made it for thieves, so I have the charging maneuver for speed, and then I'm using shadowy disguise just to kind of sneak faster, and this is also to sneak faster too. It's not even really for an attack. It's mainly for that movement speed buff for sneaking and being invisible. So I can sneak super fast. Like, just watch this. I'll just show you how fast I sneak. You see this? Like, normal sneaking wouldn't ever be this fast. And then if I go into actual just regular sneak mode, see, it's almost like I'm sprinting constantly, and nothing can ever see me. So it's really nice. I like this a lot. Okay, but that's pretty much the build. I think I covered everything. So yeah, thanks for watching, y'all. And leave a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't, and I'll see you in the next one. I also am gonna link the video to an actual gameplay video so you can see how this build is in the description, or you'll see it at the end of this video right here. So take care, guys. Later.